last lap, I was in the middle of the racetrack, and I went to go down to the yellow line, and I left just enough room, I guess, where I thought I left no room underneath the yellow line.
I could have leaned into him and spun him coming to the line, which wasn't the way to win, because he was blocking me down, and he knows he was blocking me down.
I think I'm as much fault as he's at fault for the yellow line deal. Now both of us are going to be starting the last row at Texas.
Round 2 live under the lights in Texas. Next. Speed Channel welcomes you to Texas Motor Speedway. Crown Royal IROC 28, round number 2. There's just something about night racing that gets everybody's heartbeat up a couple of notches. Maybe it's the big crowd, maybe it's the bright lights. Maybe it's this daytime sun-bleached asphalt turned into a 1.5 mile ring of silver, where we're about to go racing with one added wrinkle. It's full moon Friday night, and at racetracks the nation's over, that usually means mayhem. Hi everybody, I'm Mike Joy. Welcome to the Crown Royal IROC Series. What a finish in Daytona. 9 drivers coming into the final lap with an honest chance to win it. We may well see the same kind of action tonight. Let's go down to the starting grid to the final row and meet the Daytona 1-2 finishers with Matt Yoakum.
Mike, Daytona is a distant memory. Now is the big chase for the $1 million champions payday. But this isn't Daytona. Here at the back, how difficult to get to the front?
It's going to be pretty difficult, but I'm sure it can be done. So Daytona is a distant memory, but it's a good memory, and we came from the back there with a few laps to go. I don't think it's going to happen like that here at Texas, but I think the most important part is going to be that last restart, or that 15 lap to go restart.
Now 1 point separates first and second in the championship standings. Now you will start 11th. You won from the back row in April last year. You've done it before, but do you have to go with more of a strategy this time with that competition yellow?
The thing that I'm going to remember the most is the little hole I gave Newman at Daytona to win, and maybe we'll get it back this race. But this is a racetrack similar to Chicago. That's the experience that I'm going to bring to this race on how you've got to get to the front and what you have to do to position yourself to be in a successful position at the end of the race. See what we can do. You never know.
In 28 IROC seasons, only 11 times someone has won from the back row. They're going to try to make it 12 tonight. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. The concept is simple. Take 12 of the best available drivers in the world. In this case, 6 from NASCAR and 6 from open wheel. Put them in identically prepared cars and turn them loose. Speed Channel coverage of the Crown Royal IROC Series from Texas Motor Speedway is presented by Crown Royal. Be a champion, drink responsibly. Big crowd, big night in Texas. Everything's big in Texas, and they love their racing, and they turn out in big numbers to see it. I'm joined by former NASCAR top crew chiefs Larry McReynolds and Jeff Hammond, turned Fox analysts for round 2. Here's a look at our starting lineup.
And what I love about this race, Mike, 67 laps. Every week up here for the NASCAR races, we talk about strategy. There is no strategy here. And the thing about it, not a single one of these 4 races pays any money to win. It's all about the 4 races, $1 million.
And Jeff, very few of these drivers have ever turned a wheel at Texas at night before this week.
That's true right there, Mike, but a lot of the guys did come out, and there were several practice sessions run under night. A lot of these drivers took advantage of it because this racetrack has a whole different look at night. I can tell you that from first-hand experience.
A lot of talent deep in the field as far as those Nextel Cup drivers are concerned, both of the last 2 rows. If you finished up front at Daytona, you start in the back here. It's an invert. And it's a special week for one of the Crown Royal IROC drivers, the king of sprint car racing, Steve Kinser. Last Saturday night it happened in Baytown, Texas. That's Kinser. Screen of white number 11 on the outside of the front row. Brooke Tatnell, 66 on the pole, and takes the early lead. Tatnell leads the first 9 laps before giving way to Kinser, who powers through on the inside. And at the finish, Kinser holds off the yellow 15 of Donnie Schatz to score his 500th career World of Outlaws victory.
No matter how hard you run, you get through the lap traffic smooth. There's always somebody right there, but we've had a good race team, and I'm just glad to get this thing off my shoulders. I can go get a haircut now and take it easy.
26 seasons, 18 championships for Steve Kinser. Here's what else has happened since Daytona. Matt Kenseth, 2 Nextel Cup wins. Kurt Busch last week, victory at Bristol. J.J. Yaley won the midget section of the Copper Classic. Jimmy Johnson at Darlington. And Kevin Harvick picked up a Busch win in Las Vegas. So 6 of our 12 drivers have been to victory lane since we saw you last as we get ready to go in Texas. Getting set to go green under the lights live in Texas. The Crown Royal IROC Series set to go. 12 identically prepared cars, a new wrinkle for this year. Each driver will carry the colors and car number that you're familiar with on the roof and sides of these cars. And here's our Crown Royal ride-along program. Ryan Newman starting 12th. Carries one of our 4 onboard cameras tonight. Kurt Busch starting right alongside Newman. Just like they finished at Daytona, except they're above the white line for now.
For now.
The king of the Outlaws, Steve Kinser, will start 8th. And as they go by the backstretch, he can almost look over and see where he'll be racing with the World of Outlaws here at the dirt track tomorrow night.
I guess that would be trying to get win number 501.
Helio Castroneves starting 7th in that fluorescent red 03. And from the inside of the front row, the dude, former Outlaw champ Danny Lasowski in the number 20, starting from the pole, carrying our 4th onboard camera. Here's Matt.
Mike, while both Danny Lasowski and J.J. Yaley were buckling up, Tony Stewart was jumping back and forth, coaching both drivers. He has a long association with both Danny and J.J. He said things to keep in mind: save that right front tire. These cars in this racetrack tend to go tight. So remember, yes, there's only one lap that really pays the big money, but you've got to save that right front tire to get there.
There are no tire changes allowed in this series. You've got what you've got right now.
Yeah, and I talked to one of the test IROC drivers, Dave Marcus, and he said the real challenge with these cars, they carry 33 gallons of fuel. That's a lot of fuel in the back of these cars, a lot of weight. And they start off a little bit loose, but as it burns that fuel off and gains all that front percentage, and you start abusing that right front tire, they really want to start to shove the nose and not turn.
The other thing about these cars, Larry, is they got so much total downforce. Also, again, that makes it a little more difficult when you've got that much force down on these tires. A lot of times the mechanical doesn't want to overcome the aero, so you got to kind of like work and tune between all the above, and that can make it more difficult.
You know, guys, I just look for those 4 NASCAR guys at the back: Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, Kenseth, and Johnson. I think they're going to make their move early. They want to get to the front in a hurry before things get strung out.
Green flag, we're racing in Texas.
And guys, I talked to Daniel Lasowski last night at the last practice these guys were able to run. He said, man, I'm going to have white line fever. I'm putting it right down that white line, and I'm not moving off of it.
That's what he does with that sprint car of his.
He's there ahead of Yaley, Quaffle, and Sharp, Dixon. They're already trying to get under the line going into turn 3 at the back of that pack.
But definitely that's one thing that Dave Marcus told me, especially about the open wheel guys that run the IRL cars here, is teaching them to run these cars around the bottom. That's where they want to stick the best.
Kurt Busch has a run, trying to bust his way up through. He's already passed 4 cars.
Here right there from the end car, and just barely breathe it through the middle of the corner. These cars only lose about 200 RPM through the corners, guys.
Castroneves had to lift as he got right up on the back bumper of Scott Dixon.
But did you see Kurt Busch jump into that shot right there? He's really got a run going right now in that number 97 car.
You know, we've been talking about the bottom group, but right now that group in the top lane, the second lane, they seem to be moving forward right now.
3 wide at the start-finish line, and kind of think better of it.
You got to get about 2 wide before you get to turn 1.
Well, the IRL racers are used to this being a 2-groove racetrack. For the NASCAR drivers, it hasn't always been so.
And that, again, is one of the advantages of these race cars. Matt Kenseth said, hey, the way this racetrack's feeling, the way the cars are working, I believe the outside will work. And again, you can pinch the guy down on the inside if you have that outside lane and get a run off of him coming off these corners.
Jimmy Johnson with Kurt Busch in tow on the outside, 6th and 8th place.
Yeah, the top 4 is in single file right now, and from about 5th on back, they can tend to run double file.
Danny Lasowski doesn't look back. Yaley in second, trouble.
Got trouble.
Kurt Busch,
Busch in the 97.
and Matt Kenseth hard in the wall. 3 cars involved. Caution is out.
Of course, there is no racing back to the caution. There you see Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, the yellow car. A lot of damage to that car as it sits to the inside.
Pretty much guarantee right now, Larry, his day at night is done as far as that 17 car. He did hit the inside wall hard. Kurt Busch's in-car camera right there coming on around. He may be able to get some repairs done and change the 4 tires on his car and maybe get back out there and maybe salvage some points.
I saw a third car pretty much sideways in the mix. We'll have to wait for replays to see who it was. Safety crews talking with Matt Kenseth. You see damage to the left front corner of Kurt Busch.
A lot of damage to that left front. That could be very critical at a place where aero means so much.
The yellow paint is Kenseth's, but whose is the blue paint on Kurt Busch's nose?
Busch
Remember
comes
now
in here
that-
second in the points and Kenseth fourth in the points.
And
Matt
remember-
climbs out. He is okay.
Good.
But it's a short night. Let's see what happened here.
Here you see Castro Neves in the 03 car on the bottom, Kurt Busch in the 97 on the top side. Looks like Kurt got real loose coming off the corner, had to get out of the throttle, and Matt Kenseth drove to the inside of him in the 17. Kurt had to get out of the throttle up on the exit of the corner.
And the blue paint on Busch's car is Ryan Newman's.
Kurt was just way too high on the exit of that corner in the 97.
And guys, another thing about that corner over there, where the tunnel and everything is in that particular area, there are some bumps. And so if you're up kind of high, it can really upset your race car and kind of pitch it out just a little bit. See it bottom out right there. The cars are bottoming out. He's awful high.
His car just picked up that front end shove off turn 2, and the only way you can get it not from hitting the wall when he went on hit the wall is get out of the throttle.
As he went up high, Kenseth filled the hole in the middle and thought he was going to go through. Didn't happen.
The guy that's got to be feeling pretty lucky about this right now has got to be Ryan Newman's car.
Watch Newman's number 12 get through this as Busch comes bouncing off the wall. This is from Steve Kinzer, right behind it all.
Ryan Newman was very lucky.
Very lucky. And you saw right there, the King, he said, there's a hole. I better get through it.
Service is allowed under the caution for damaged cars, and that will include both Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman. We're under caution. If you've ever wondered what happens after the checkered flag falls until the green flag waves the next week, NBS 24/7 is your show. The real world of NASCAR Busch Series racing, Monday at 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific on Speed. We're under caution for a 3-car incident. Matt Kenseth's got the worst of it. He walked to the ambulance for the trip to the care center. But that car is done for the night. Now Kurt Busch has come back in for a further bit of repair. Ryan Newman had a brief stop, and they sent him back out.
Kurt Busch just ran out of racetrack, and Matt Kenseth had nowhere to go as into the side of Kurt Busch.
And then hard into the inside wall.
It's a terrible sound.
It's like a ping pong ball right there, just bouncing around.
Full moon Friday night.
I think you called that a little bit earlier, Mr. Joy.
I'm afraid so.
Now, Kurt Busch went out on the racetrack and made a lap, and evidently he felt something that he didn't like. And you see right there what they're going to do is check the toe out of the front end. It's the difference between the front of the front tires and the rear of the front tires. I'd say they run about 1/8 of an inch, and evidently it hit so hard on the left front, it possibly been a ball joint, a tie rod, or something like that. So they're going to try to readjust the toe out here.
Matt?
They feel like he possibly knocked the toe out. They also had to cut away on his previous stop, Larry Mack, with a Sawzall. A lot of the body work, you can see Jim going to work with some wrenches. the crew chief here at IROC, they had to take a sawzall, cut away some of the body work around that left front tire because it had been pushed in on the tire. That's not bad, but we are at 1 to go.
And Matt, the left front corner of these cars, like on any stock car at a racetrack like this where you're in the corner so long, is so important. That's what keeps that left front down and makes that car turn. And when it's gone, I would say this car is going to have a substantial push. The front end's going to feel like it's sliding.
It most definitely will, Larry. And I mean, right now, the best thing he can hope for is maybe for them to extend this caution another lap, get the toe fixed, maybe get to the back of the pack and hang on to the next caution, which is a competition caution, and maybe they can work on his car some more.
Matt Kenseth's car is hauled to the garage. Matt is done for the night. Here's the way they'll restart. Danny Lasowski has led the 3 laps scored so far, and they have waved off the restart. Since caution laps do not count, the IROC officials judge the work being done on pit road to see if it can be completed in a reasonable time, and if so, they'll often give a competitor the benefit of the doubt and extend the caution a lap to see if he can get back into the fray.
That's what IROC's all about. It's not about beating them because they're sitting in the pits. It's beating them out on the racetrack. But as you see them right here adjusting the toe out, they're changing the tie rod length right here to try to get the toe out back right. But I think that's one of the big fears that Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, and Kurt Busch had of starting at the rear of the field is getting up through there before they had a problem.
There you see a backup car that is in place in the event one of the cars cannot complete the first lap. I don't believe a driver is able to hop out of his damaged car once the race starts and into a backup. That wouldn't be fair.
That would not be fair.
I only see one car. What happens to first 2 drivers? First guy get there? That way it would work.
I would guess.
And you know, Jeff, you mentioned the competition caution at lap 52 with 15 laps to go, and you would say, well, maybe a driver would just kind of feel his way through this thing for 52 laps and then go for those last 15. But what we have to remember, and every point is so precious, is they pay bonus points to the top 3 at the end of that 52 laps. 3 points to the #1 guy, 2 points to the #2 guy, and 1 point to the 3rd place guy.
Matt?
Mike, the ironic thing, I was talking to Kurt Busch in Daytona and then also here in Texas this weekend. He told me his strategy is simple. To win the championship and the $1 million that Crown Royal is going to pay out, you have to have a top 5 in every race. He says you cannot have one bad race and expect to still have a chance at the championship. He's got a lot of work to do now tonight.
With 4 races, you have no mulligans pretty much. You have to run competitive all 4 events.
Restarts are double file, so 11 of 12 will take the green flag, led by Lasowski, Yaley, Sharp, Harvick, and Quaffle.
See Kurt Busch in the 97 car lagging back. He wants to make sure everything's feeling good about that race car and driving good as they're 2 by 2 all the way through 1 and 2 on this restart.
No, they're 3 wide at the front.
I'm getting ready. Somebody is getting in a hurry here, guys.
And somebody, Yaley on the outside, almost ran out of racetrack.
I think these guys knew they needed to get all they could on this restart before they get back up to speed and complete lap 1.
A little bit of smoke from, I think, Kurt Busch's car as Danny Lasowski leads them across.
Scott Sharp in the 8 car in 2nd. There you see Castro Neves. You heard him have to roll out of the throttle just a little bit right there as he pulls to the outside of NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver Travis Quaffle.
Whoa, they get wild at the back straightaway, guys. This is not Daytona. This is Texas, boys.
It's Kevin Harvick. You surprised?
Sorry about that. Proceed.
Yeah, right. Matt.
Mike, Kevin Harvick told me earlier today, the 2 laps after each restart, that's where you're going to have to try to make the most and make your move because it's so difficult to pass here with these race cars at Texas. That's when you've got to plan out how you're going to get to the front.
Well, Matt, he has lived up to what he said he was going to do.
He's jumped into 2nd, and now he's trolling for race leader Danny Lasowski. Castro Neves, 2-time Indy 500 winner and a runner-up finish in only 3 appearances. A phenomenal record at the Brickyard. And he's had a hard time adapting to these cars.
Yeah, we had him on trackside earlier tonight. He was talking about, he said, the NASCAR boys keep telling me to stay in line, stay in line. They keep spitting me out of line.
He's got the hang of it. He says in his IRL car, you move the wheel about 3 inches to turn. And here, it's hand over hand and arm over arm. And
what did we say earlier? It's like fighting bees inside these cars from time to time. But I really believe when you talk about Elio and the way he races is he has fun when he does it.
Ryan Newman trying to advance from the rear, but thus far he's only gotten as far as 8th place.
Now, guys, you would think that they put fresh tires on that 12 car for Ryan Newman, and he might have just a slight advantage right now with the fresher tires.
And this is the tire that the Cup cars and the Busch cars ran here in 2003. This is not the new generation of tire.
So Newman passes Scott Dixon, Indy Racing League competitor.
Right now, the whole field single file. Danny Lasowski, he's capitalizing on that last place finish at Daytona. Started on the pole. He's led the whole way. Saw Jimmy Johnson there in the 48 car, the blue car, his second year in the IROC series. He won the final IROC race last year at Indy.
Guys, he's looking right now to kind of capitalize on this situation because he's third in the points, and if he can have a good strong run here, he could climb up the standings a little bit maybe.
Yeah, he didn't finish third at Daytona, but those bonus points vaulted him to third in the standings.
Larry was talking about those earlier. You've got to take advantage of the bonus points when you can.
You know, what I like about this racing also is there's no spotters. There's no radios. It's all about that driver and a very small rearview mirror to look out of.
Jeff, you had a great opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity last night to take a ride with Jay Sauter in the 2-seat IROC test car.
Yes, I did, Mike, and it was an eye-opening experience. You cannot believe how stable these race cars are. Even though you run up there high, they're really planted to the racetrack. Again, I think Ryan Newman's got a little bit of advantage with the fresher tires, but these race cars are really stuck to the racetrack. A little bit bumpy down across the high side, but you learn so much riding around here, and basically 10 laps we ran wide open.
Well, now look at this. He does not get the measure of J.J. Yaley in turns 1 and 2.
But he's going to get a run down that back straightaway off that corner.
Yeah, I think with the little bit of horsepower these things have, it's about 500 horsepower running that second groove. He keeps the engine wound up.
Keeps it wound up. The guy on the bottom has to respect him. He can't move out the wall. So you got to keep it going right there off the corner and take advantage of it, and that's what he's doing.
Matt?
Mike, as Ryan Newman works his way to the front. Now in IROC competition, everything is based to keep the playing field level. They do that also with the tires. Now Ryan Newman got a set of 5-lap scuffs, so when he pitted, he didn't get a brand new set of tires. They try to equal it out, so that way the competition, even if a driver gets a brand new set of tires, the tires are equal to what the competition has at that point of the race.
That's a good idea, and I would say with the competition only having 3 laps on their tires, that would be fairly equal.
Newman outside of Scott Sharp. The only side-by-side racing at the moment is right here for 6th place. And Sharp, former IRL champion, not going to give it up without a fight. And here comes Yaley right back after him.
And Newman knows he has to go because we're at lap 12, and they're about 1.5 seconds behind our leader right now, Danny Lasowski.
Yaley coming right back after Newman.
And Norman, when these cars are running side by side like this, you're not able to run as quick as those guys up there leading the race in single file.
13 laps complete, 1 caution so far. It took Matt Kenseth out of the race. Danny Lasowski has led all the way so far. Kevin Harvick is closing in. Speed Channel coverage of the Crown Royal IROC Series. Texas Motor Speedway is presented by Crown Royal. Be a champion. Drink responsibly. First 5 single file: Lasowski, Harvick, Johnson, Castroneves, Quaffle. 6th place is the race where Ryan Newman goes after Scott Sharp.
I'm going to tell you right now, guys, Ryan Newman is on a tear. He got around Yaley just a few laps ago, but now he's going right back to the high side again and trying to put a move on Scott Sharp.
Yeah, they've been racing like this for about the last 5 or 6 laps. I think if Ryan Newman could ever get by Scott Sharp in the 8 car, I think he could go on, but he just cannot complete the pass.
This battle, however, has split the field in half. The front 5 have about a 1-second gap to 6th place. As you ride with Newman.
He's back there lurking, guys. He's trying to figure this deal out. He said, I got alongside him, and he kind of shut the door on me. I will figure out a way to get around him.
You saw him breathe that. You heard him. You didn't see it. You heard him breathe that throttle just a little bit. How about the dude? He's led every lap so far, and he's got that case of, as you said, white line fever.
That's what he told me he was going to do. And last night, he was just jumping up and down and carrying on with all these other competitors. They were having a lot of fun in the final practice. But I really believe that his coach, Tony Stewart, has really helped this young man.
Yeah, Danny's in his 3rd year of IROC. Enjoys it, really has a good time with it.
Matt?
Danny Lasowski wants to win an IROC race more than you'll ever know. Back in Daytona, he turned over 350 laps of practice, and he did almost the same here as his boss, Tony Stewart, watching on. Everybody has been giving him corners here and there. In fact, like we mentioned earlier, Smoke was out on the grid giving last-minute instructions, just helping him with any kind of information he can pass on to help Danny the Dude make it to an IROC victory lane.
Well, he's leading this race, but his lap time, his last lap was only about 6th or 7th fastest, as these cars are just so equal.
But Mike, he's looking in the rearview mirror, and that's all as hard he needs to run his equipment. He can't get away from them. He's not going to lap them because they're going to throw caution here in a minute, put them right back up on him. So if he's able to run that car at a comfortable pace and hold that lead, hey, more power to him.
See Kevin Harvick now in 2nd position, the 2002 IROC champion. He's in his 3rd year of IROC.
And it didn't take him long to get up to 2nd spot with that bold move down to the inside.
Yeah, like Mac Yoakum was talking about, he did it on the restarts, about a lap and a half after the restarts.
There are also bonus points for leading laps. Whoever leads the most laps tonight gets 5 bonus points. The next most laps gets 3, and the next most laps 2 points. Now, if Danny leads them all, does he get all 10? Probably not.
But 5 is a bunch when you look at the way this points are structured.
Especially if no one else gets any.
You got it. That is huge.
Now we said we weren't too sure whether or not Elio Castroneves really likes driving these big bulky race cars compared to his open wheel ride, but right now he's doing a pretty good job right there, just sitting behind the likes of Jimmy Johnson and these guys up front and just pacing himself.
And Jeff, you know, again, you rode in one of these cars last night. These cars have a lot of aero drag. I would have to believe at these speeds that definitely the draft plays a role when they're lined up like this.
I think you'll notice a lot of these guys are getting this kind of a run, and once they get to the bottom of the racetrack, they kind of swing to the outside. I think that's what Ryan Newman was doing earlier. He'd get a run on Scott Sharp, get to him, and then swing to the outside.
But the cars don't seem to suck up, even though they have a lot of aero drag. The gap from Lasowski to Harvick has remained pretty constant.
And of course, Kevin has no one really tucked up behind him to push him up there either. There's a big gap between him and the 3rd place car of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, 4/10 of a second from Lasowski to Harvick, 4/10 from Harvick to Jimmy Johnson. Another 3/10 to Castroneves. And the lonely guy, Kurt Busch, with a somewhat damaged car. He is 7.5 seconds back of the pack. Wednesday night on Speed, Barrett-Jackson Car Search. 3 teams of experts compete to find an undiscovered gem in the collectible car world. Get into car collecting with Barrett-Jackson Car Search. They got a Hot Rod AMC Rebel one of the teams is looking at this week.
Pretty interesting cars in that little car search.
There's probably only 3 of those left in the whole world. Who knows? No, there's more than that. Might be 6. Danny Lasowski has led every one of 29 laps so far. Kevin Harvick has closed now to within 1/4 of a second, and Jimmy Johnson is just 1/10 of a second off of Harvick's rear bumper. Castroneves within striking distance, and so is Travis Quaffle. Kind of split between the 1st and 2nd packs. Travis is one of the few NASCAR drivers that has ever raced here at night.
Yeah, I mean, he's ran here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Travis Quaffle in the 24 car. He finished 10th at Daytona, started in 3rd, and he's only the 2nd NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion to be invited to IROC.
Might have had a little contact right behind him. Scott Sharp and Ryan Newman racing for 6th place down in turn 1, Jeff.
Yeah, I said they're watching it right there. It looked like when turn 1, Scott went in just with a little bit higher line than normal, and all of a sudden here was Ryan sticking his nose right in there, and basically Scott just slammed the door on him. I thought those 2 guys were going to get together.
First move that Newman has made toward the bottom of the racetrack to pass.
Well, he wasn't having a tremendous amount of luck on the high side. Let me try the bottom side just a little bit as we ride with Ryan Newman here in the 12 car in the 7th position right now, almost 3 seconds behind leader Danny Lasowski.
Now, as he gets into turn 3, let's watch and let's listen, see if the handling has changed on these cars as he's lifting.
Just enough, and I don't think it's completely out of the throttle. Just as he goes off into the corner, enough to let the car take a set, but wide open, well before the center of the corner. And let's ride with Ryan Newman as he drives off into turn 1 here. And you really couldn't see it with this shot here, but you know, we talked about these guys not having radios. The only way they could possibly know what lap it is there's a tall pylon scoreboard headed off into turn 1 if they can glance at that and look at the lap number at the top.
Yeah, you want to do that at 170 miles an hour.
But you'd like to know what lap it is. How many do I have to go before that competition yellow?
And guys, as we're talking about that, we're listening to Ryan Newman. They only lose about 200 RPM in the corner in these cars. They just about hold them flat wide open all the way through.
Castroneves, fastest lap of the race. And now Lasowski has opened up on Harvick. It's back up to 0.4 of a second. I did notice Harvick taking a different line around this quad oval, around the front straightaway, than Lasowski did last time around.
Mike, I've been watching Kevin the last few laps also. Even off the exits of the corners, he's really letting his car kind of run out to the wall, like he's not really laying on that right front tire, while Danny's right down on the bottom of that white line once again, which is probably putting a little bit more abuse on the right front tire. So it's really interesting to see how these two champions right now are choosing to drive the racetrack.
And even at that competition yellow, there will be no pit stops. It's just about bunching the field back up, back to a double file restart.
Waffle has caught the front 4. It's now a 5-car train, then a gap, and then 4 behind there. Sharp, Newman, Yaley, and Dixon in that 4-car pack from 6th through 9th. Interested spectator watching the progress of Scott Dixon is Chip Ganassi. He and Andy Graves looking on. Then there's a bit of a gap from Dixon back to Steve Kinzer, about 1.5 seconds, and then 5 more seconds back to Kurt Busch. Matt Kenseth in the garage after 3 laps as the result of contact with Busch and Ryan Newman.
Now, guys, we talked about it several times. These drivers are out there in their own world, having to do their own thing. And as a crew chief and an owner, it's very frustrating to stand on top of these trucks, watch your driver do their thing, and not be able to help them. Not be able to say, hey, look out here, look out there. Your car is pushing. What do you need? What can I do to help you?
The one thing that's striking is, as even as these cars are and as draggy as they are, that running single file, the drivers are not able to suck up to the rear bumper of the car ahead of them. You see there's a plexiglass or a Lexan lip to that rear spoiler, and it's a tall one. That thing really creates a lot of turbulence behind it.
And of course at Daytona they were able to, but they ran that roof deflector at Daytona. They are not running that here. That's one of the changes in the aero package, and that would really let a car, I think, suck up because it poked even a dirtier, bigger hole in the air.
Newman getting right up on Scott Sharp once again.
These guys been going at it ever since that restart back on lap 4.
But as Mike, as you pointed out, you can get there, but you can't quite clear it. That's the difficulty, I guess, right now of what they're running into. But Ryan seems like he can lay back a little bit, cool his tires just a little bit, and he'll come right back to him.
That's the best battle on the racetrack at 6th place. And they are gaining a little ground on that single file front 5. Newman up the racetrack.
And I would say this is where the handling characteristics will really start to change on these cars. We've burnt quite a bit of that fuel off. These cars get about 4.5 miles to the gallon. And I would say they are starting, along with these guys abusing that right front tire, they're starting to pick that little bit of push up, especially up off the corner.
Guys, now watching our time and scoring monitor, I am noticing that there are several times in the last 4 or 5 laps that guys back in the pack, like Scott Sharp, Helio Castroneves, Ryan Newman, are running some pretty quick laps. We see right now Ryan Newman's on the outside of Scott Sharp again in the middle of 3 and 4. Can he make the pass?
He has a pretty good run on him down the front stretch here. If he can clear him before they get to turn 1, But Scott Sharp in the A car, he gets a good run off into the corner. He almost got a good run up into Ryan Newman going off into turn 1.
He let Ryan know, you're not going to pinch me down here, buddy.
Just a touch of a tire mark on Sharp's right front fender. He's not going to be intimidated and not going to give up the spot without a fight. Again, Newman, a good run down the straightaway. Scott sends it in there.
It's like Scott Sharp beats him getting into the corner through the middle, and Ryan Newman, when he's on the high side, he's going to do the crossover move, though, but I don't know that it's going to work.
Well, now Newman has the bottom. Let's see if it's the fast way around.
That's where Ryan's been trying to get him all night long, is to get position on him. And I believe he's got him, guys.
I believe he did get him.
Sharp tries to cross under.
He said it worked for you. Let's see if it works for me.
But Sharp doesn't get off the corner off turn 2. Not as easy to make that cross under at turn 2 because it tightens up there at turn 4. A little more open exit to that corner. We're back to single file for the moment. Danny Lasowski, who's led every lap, ahead of Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Castroneves, and Quapo. The dude is having it all his way tonight. Danny Lasowski has led every one of 46 laps, and he clinches the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps in round 2 of IROC 28. Kevin Harvick's been right on his bumper for the last 20 or so laps. Jimmy Johnson, Castroneves. While we were away, Scott Dixon passed J.J. Yaley, a change at 8th place. Now, when they wave that yellow flag, you saw 3-2-1 in bonus points for the leaders, and this is all about points because there are no individual purses for these races. All the money is at the end of the rainbow, and it's $1 million to the winner.
And that's compared to the winner last year, Kurt Busch, getting $250,000. Quite a significant jump in purse.
And big time right there. If you want to break it down, 4 races, everybody finishes second on back, about $20,000 a race. But the guy that finishes first, $250,000 per race.
Harvick, is he playing the waiting game, or is he giving it all he's got?
I think he's playing possum, guys, and it's going to get real interesting after this competition yellow to find out how much he has been saving and how much Danny's been saving.
Okay, the guy I keep watching, though, is Ryan Newman in that 12 car back there in 6th. I know we only have about 4 laps of this competition caution, but he is slowly. He's been running the quickest lap of every lap for about the last 10 laps since he cleared Scott Sharp. I just don't know if it's going to be enough time to catch Travis Quaffle up there in the 24 car.
But Larry, one of the things that's going to be interesting is when they go to the competition caution, again, the alignment for the restart can be crucial in which line you choose and how your car's working.
We'll discuss that during the yellow. Last race won by a pole sitter in IROC 2002 at Chicago. Buddy Lazier won from the pole. Hasn't happened since.
Now Daniel Lasowski just continues to hunt that white line every lap. He puts it right down there with that left front wheel on the top of that white line and follows it all the way around.
But as Larry pointed out, that 5-car lead draft is now 6. Ryan Newman has caught the leaders, and right now he is poised to have the opportunity to extend that point lead.
I'll tell you, I watch these cars I've been watching the timing and scoring monitor, and they seem so equal. So, I mean, you have to tip your hat to the IROC setup drivers, Dave Marcus, Dick Trickle, Jim Sauter, and Jay Sauter, who work with Jay Signor to set these cars up as equal as possible. The only thing these drivers can adjust about their cars is the seat, the pedals, and the steering wheel, and that's strictly for driver comfort.
The last lap, among the 10 cars in contention, Kurt Busch's car is damaged. The difference between the fastest car on that last lap and the 10th place car, or the 10th fastest car, or the slowest car in that group, last lap, 0.2 of a second.
I'd say that's set up pretty equal.
Pretty equal. And I think we need to point out also that when they come here, they practice in other cars. They don't practice in these race cars here. These cars do not see the racetrack until time for the show.
Except with the test drive.
The test drivers only.
.52 laps complete. Danny Lasowski has led them all, and when they come off turn 2 to the backstretch, the caution will wave. And a lot of innovations here at Texas, and one of them is the caution lights. In addition to being mounted up on the wall, because the drivers heading into the corner aren't looking up on the wall, there's also caution lights embedded in the pavement at the base of the wall further into the corner in turn 1 and turn 3. That's pretty neat.
Yes, it is.
It really is. Another one of those safety innovations, and these people here at Texas are kind of leading the way on that.
Just another thing Eddie Gossage and his group has done here at the Great American Speedway.
Well, we had a little bit of full moon Friday night at lap 3, but otherwise, who would have thought that one driver could lead 52 consecutive IROC laps? Danny Lasowski did it. Harvick is second, Johnson third, Castroneves fourth, and Quaffle fifth. Caution is out for the competition yellow in round 2 of Crown Royal IROC 28. Only one car has come to pit road. That is Kurt Busch. You're only allowed to pit if you have a problem with your car. Kurt asked them to look at the tires. They did. The crew declined to replace them. They said the tires are fine. Well, how about a little aero improvement? How about that, Matt?
Well, they are going to put a number of pieces of huge tape around that left front corner to try to help that car out aerodynamically. Now, drivers don't have spotters like they may have in their own series, or if you're Danny Lasowski, you don't have a spotter. But Kurt and NASCAR IROC officials could talk back and forth. The IROC officials called him in to take a look at that left front tire just to make sure it hadn't been rubbing and wore a bad pattern in that Goodyear Eagle. Tire looks fine. Just going to try to do some cosmetic damage, see if that might help him out on the racetrack.
So they've told him, you've got what you got.
Yeah, I mean, you know, though, Matt, if anything they could do to help that left front fender is going to help that car. But, Jeff, as you well know, if that car has been pushing as bad as it probably has been for 52 laps, I'm going to say that right front tire is not in very good shape right now.
That's exactly right. And the other thing about it is, Larry, the experience that Kurt Busch has, he may be in a position, he may be saving that right front tire, waiting for this competition caution so they can come in and maybe make some aerodynamic changes to help it.
Now, the drivers have a choice to make when they line up for the restart. First, let's have a look back at what happened on lap number 4. Kurt Busch gets the outside wall, gets into Matt Kenseth, whose car takes a hard hit to the inside wall. Kenseth knocked out of the race. Busch's car, after repair, has gotten to within, I'd say, 2 or 3/10 of a second of competitive time being turned by the leaders. All right, we're getting set for the restart. As I said, drivers had a choice to make. Lasowski starts by himself. Everyone else gets to choose inside or outside, whether to move up or fill in the next available spot. Here we go.
And you know, Jeff, I'm a little surprised Kevin Harvick did not allow to go to the outside of Danny Lasowski. Maybe that would be his best chance to jump Danny on this start going off into turn 1, but he chose to start behind Lasowski.
Trouble over off of turn 2 right there. Castroneves up high.
And he restarted in 4th position.
Did that look like one of those, maybe the tires weren't cleaned off, kind of rolls off into turn 1?
Something happened there, Mike. I mean, and it really is kind of a strange deal because, you know, riding around there for those few laps, you would have thought he would have cleaned them off at least a little bit, but his car just definitely took off on him when he got in the middle of that corner.
Castroneves goes from 4th to 11th in 1 lap.
Kevin Harvick right now is really trying to measure Daniel Lasowski pretty early here. I believe he'd like to get around him and try to get away from the rest of these guys.
And I tell you who else really lost on that incident with Castroneves was Travis Quaffle in the 24 car. He got shuffled all the way back to 9th, as well as Scott Dixon back to 10th. Okay, you can just see Kevin Harvick just bending that steering wheel in 2, trying to get up there to Danny Lasowski.
Castroneves moves around the outside of Kurt Busch, whose car is still not handling up to par, and there's a move up at 6th place. Oh, underneath Kinzer. Is that Yaley that just went past? That was a bold move.
Yeah, and Kinzer is going to lose 2 or 3 spots as Travis Quaffle goes by him. Look at Kevin Harvick in the 29 car trying to just get out there and clean air to see if he can do anything besides just ride behind and look at the rear bumper of Lasowski's car. He's looked at it all he wants to look at it.
He said, I've got to measure this guy pretty quick because I look in my rearview mirror, and guess who's coming? Jimmy Johnson as well as Ryan Newman.
6th place, side by side, Yaley and Quaffle now.
Travis is trying to make that high line work right now. He drives there real hard right there, just on the outside of Yaley, trying to make it stick.
The defending champion of NASCAR's Craftsman Truck Series.
And Larry, you said earlier, he's one of the very few guys who has some experience racing under the lights here.
Yes, he does. And that truck he runs here, it likes to run up there in that second.
3 wide.
Look at him.
Yep, Yaley went up too high. That opened up the bottom for Kinzer.
And it's going to let Travis Quaffle in the 24 car clear them all right there.
Kinzer and Dixon go underneath Yaley, who pays the price for sliding up the racetrack.
But back out front right there, guys. I hate to tell you this, but Danny the Dude Lasowski is still getting it done.
He actually pulled away a couple of car lengths on Kevin Harvick.
Surely did.
Here comes Castroneves on the inside of Yaley.
It's a battle for ninth.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Elio's car, but he's got it back under control. He's trying to make his way back up through the pack. But, guys, I believe he's got too few laps to get it done.
He only has 10 laps to go. 10 laps to go. That time by.
Castroneves trying to complete the pass for ninth and does, and we're single file once again.
Yaley's
No, we're
not
not.
ready to get back up yet, though, in that 80 car. He got the run off turn 2. Castroneves, though, pulls back below him, beside of him in 3 and 4.
Elio had cleared him coming off turn 2, but again, without spotters, reluctant to move up and close that gap.
And as we saw for so many laps with Ryan Newman, where Yaley gets the run is off the corner on the high side.
Not this time. Elio drives around there and he gets a good run up off of turn 2.
This time he's way clear, and Elio picks up the draft from Scott Dixon. Danny Lasowski has led every single lap. 58, make it 59 down and 8 to go. Tomorrow night he'll be off the backstretch racing his Tony Stewart-owned World of Outlaws car on the dirt half mile here at Texas Motor Speedway.
And the way he drives that, he'll be running right where he's running this one, right along that white line, right around the bottom. What do they call him? The bottom
feeders.
sucker.
Bottom feeders.
At Texas Motor Speedway, Danny Lasowski, the dude from the World of Outlaws, has led every single lap of this race so far, but it's far from over. Side by side for 5th. Quaffle locked up there and in a battle with Scott Sharp to the inside. 5th place here.
If Travis can get that run on the high side down the backstretch and clear him before they get to turn 3. There you see Sharp in the 8 car coming back on the inside. We've seen this all night long with these race cars.
Except at the front spot.
Be 6 laps to go this time for the dude.
It's going to be interesting right now to see how Scott Sharp handles this. Remember last time Ryan Newman worked on him for quite a few laps and put the crossover move on him finally to get under him. I don't think that Travis has got his hands full right now.
Yeah, but as they look forward, Jeff, they're watching the 4 leaders get away.
Yeah, they're losing about a tenth and a half a lap to those top 4 running side by side. They're getting smaller and smaller up there.
But guys, I hate to tell you, I don't think it really matters to those two right now. They just want to get out in front of each other. It doesn't make any difference what's going up there. I got to stay in front of this guy.
Whoa, it was close. You run out of racetrack, it's like running in a funnel off turn 4.
Sharp tried to come up on Quaffle, wasn't quite clear, and they still battle for 5th place. Now 7th is in no danger of catching them. Now that would be Kinzer with Castroneves and Dixon. There you see them come into the screen.
Right now,
this won't quit.
Yeah, these guys, they're strictly battling for 5th position as we've got 5 laps to go.
5 to go, guys. Larry, as we used to say, hey, it's showtime.
It's it.
Four to go now, and the fight is for 5th. As Kevin Harvick cannot close up on race leader Lasowski. This is a great battle for 5th place between the IRL Scott Sharp and the Craftsman Truck Series Travis Quaffle.
And with only 4 races to go, every position, every point is so important.
When we talk about the points, if you think about right now, Danny Lasowski is at the bottom of the points. If he's able to pull off this win, as we continue to watch Scott Sharp and Travis Quaffle race, if he's able to pull off this win plus the bonus points, he's going to make a pretty sizable jump from the bottom up somewhere toward the top.
He will receive the most points you can receive.
He got it all. He got it all.
We'll tell you that Harvick still trails Lasowski by 0.3 of a second, as this is the best battle on the racetrack for 5th place. And now there's a chance that Steve Kinser could run this pair down if they keep racing like this.
Yeah, I mean, they have definitely reeled him in, but right now Steve Kinser, he has his hands full with Helio Castroneves.
2 laps to go. Kinser's coming. Dragging Castroneves with him, as Sharp and Quapple just can't get free of each other.
And Kinser is making his car as wide as possible because Elio keeps working inside, outside, trying to get a position on him to get around him.
Sharp clears Quapple. No, he
Not
doesn't.
for long.
Quapple comes back. White flag. Last lap. It may be a 4-car battle for 5th.
I think Travis was a good learner right there. I think he saw what he needed to do. All he wants to do is beat Scott Sharp back to the start-finish line at the checkered flag. That's all he wants to do.
And did you see the move that Elio Castroneves put on Steve Kinser right there, come off of turn 2? Gained a position. He's trying to get up there to get in this fray also.
All right, this is it. Here they come off turn number 4. Danny Lasowski is going to wire round 2 of Crown Royal IROC 28. Harvick, Johnson, Newman, side by side.
Heat. Right now, the computer scoring has Travis beating him by 2/1000ths of a second, I think.
That's how they have it.
Look at the big smile right now on Tony Stewart's face.
We'll have to see the video of that one to believe it. Harvick gives a little nudge to Lasowski, who was best tonight, and for the first time in 15 races, a driver not from NASCAR will go to victory lane.
This was the battle for 5th now. Travis Quaffle in the 24 on the outside. Scott Sharp in the 8 on the inside. Travis was just trying to win the drag race down to the start-finish line. How close is it? That close.
Oh.
It takes the computer score.
I can say I couldn't see the difference. Could you?
No.
No. However, that's what 2/1000ths looks like. Danny's raced on dirt. He's raced on asphalt. Don't think he's ever raced on grass.
You'd have never known it watching him tonight.
I believe, guys, he's a little bit excited.
And he should be. It's going to be the most unique win of Danny Lasowski's driving career. And in just a moment, the 45-year-old former World of Outlaws champion is going to Crown Royal IROC victory lane. Speed Channel coverage of the Crown Royal IROC Series from Texas Motor Speedway is presented by Crown Royal. Be a champion. Drink responsibly. And when you win, light up the night with a smoke show.
But guys, think about it like this. How many times has Daniel Lasowski had the opportunity to do a burnout? Most of the time he's racing dirt. It's kind of hard to make a tire smoke there.
That's one way to do it. Just put it against the front stretch wall and let it eat.
Tony Stewart's in there talking to the dude. Matt?
His father, George, in, Tony Stewart in, peeking inside the window. And for the first time in his career now, an IROC winner, the 45th differ. International Race of Champions winner, Danny the Dude Lasowski. You have dreamed about this for so long. Does this dream match tonight's reality, Danny?
I tell you what, when the guy said 5 to go, I didn't know what to think. But I want to take this time to thank my pal Dave Marcus, Jim Sauter, and Jay Sauter. You guys are the ones that taught me. I tell you what, for a dirt guy coming out here, and I've always thought I've admired Steve Kinser for winning Talladega and coming here, and I thought, where else but Texas to do it at the biggest place we can do it, and God, thank God we're here. I'm unbelievable.
I mean, this is IROC victory lane. You've wanted it for so long, but you told me last night if you could keep the lead after lap 2, you thought you were 90% there.
Yeah, well, the way race cars have been handling, they really were air dependent, and I knew if somebody got behind me, as long as I didn't mess up, it was going to be awful hard to get me.
And Harvick was closing.
Oh yeah, I seen him there, and he tried to put the Major League Winston Cup move on us on the back straightaway, but I blocked him a little bit. We won this race, yes. Yes.
You heard it, Danny Lasowski, for the first time ever, scores an IROC victory.
Tomorrow night, he goes right across the street to the dirt track here at Texas Motor Speedway to run the World of Outlaws race.
I mean, there's just not many chances in a career, as you see Kevin Harvick, who finished second to him, congratulating him, that you can lead every lap of the race. Start on the pole, lead every lap, and win the race.
And the dude gets all the bonus points for leading tonight.
Sure does, Mike. But think about one other thing. Not only did he win the race, he beat the best champions in the world. I mean, he beat the best of the best. So that's got to be the feeling that he's going to take away from here tonight. It's going to be so special.
And he beat him at a place where about 9 or 10 of them has raced. You know, he's never raced here before.
No.
Well, what a great night. A little bit of mayhem at the start. Lap 3 crash. Kurt Busch knocked out of contention, and Matt Kenseth knocked out of the race. And look at the points. Kevin Harvick moves up to tie Ryan Newman for the lead, with Lasowski and Johnson just 1 point back. How close can it get?
And I just can't wait to September. Round 3 at Richmond, Virginia.
Wow. Back in IROC 1 in 1974, Mark Donohue had some wins from the pole, won 3 of 4. But there's Ryan Newman talking it over as Danny Lasowski, Jay Signori of IROC, and the Lasowski family get to celebrate what might be the biggest night in the dude's career.
Definitely so, as we were showing right there. Full night tonight. Things kind of exciting, but man, I'm like Larry. I can't wait to Richmond.
Be with us Thursday night, September 9th, live under the lights at Richmond. For Matt Yoakum, Jeff Hammond, and Larry McReynolds, I'm Mike Joy, congratulating Danny Lasowski, going wire to wire to win round 2 of Crown Royal IROC 28 in Texas.